everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Reads with Renee here at Simply Renee. My name is Renee, and I want to take this moment to thank everybody who has supported my channel so far by subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, and clicking the notification bell. I truly appreciate it as it helps my channel to grow. And since we are now in a brand new year of 2026, I'm looking for good days ahead as I bring you more content as we go forward. Before I begin today's video, if you have not seen my winter reads of 2026 yet, please be sure to click the link in the description below or wait until the end of this video. Here is the timestamp if you'd like to jump ahead to see it. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing why it is that I like nonfiction books and you should give them a try if you haven't yet, or maybe have tried them in the past but don't read a lot of them for different reasons. And I just wanted to talk a little about it because I think these are a wealth of variety we can all enjoy because nonfiction does offer a lot of things. It's from history to memoirs, biographies to autobiographies, cookbooks, how-tos, and more. And it offers a wealth of knowledge and practices that you can try with how-tos and everything. And I think nonfiction is very good in that way. And I'd like to discuss more of why I like nonfiction and why we should read a little bit more, because I'm hoping to bring more of that to my channel because I want to do a little bit more variety just beyond just fiction. For this video, though, I'm not going to be focusing on cookbooks, how-tos, decorating, or ones with similar themes, just because I think that deserves a separate video of their own. So it's going to be a little bit more of a variety of the biographies, autobiographies, memoirs, etc. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also I'm going to be doing plot point reveals, so please be forewarned that spoilers are ahead. Now, when I looked up different reasons of why people like nonfiction and not, it's a little bit of a variety. For some people, they don't like the perceived dryness of nonfiction works, and I can understand that because you have some that are written academically and some that are written that are based in facts but flow a little and make it a little more entertaining in a storytelling perspective. But I do agree that how it's written can affect your viewpoints of everything with the knowledge of the books, and I've had that happen quite frequently with a couple of books. Helen Castor's book, She-Wolves, about the English queens who ruled before Elizabeth I, was one I was really looking forward to when I first wanted to read it because I had liked the documentary related to this book. Unfortunately, the way the book was written was a challenge for me. It took about a week for me to get through because while it had a wealth of information, it was written in a way that made things slow to get through, unfortunately. And this was my issue with songs she wrote. Even though it was more biography, it was written in a way that proved a struggle for me because it just felt that way. It was very dry. And as such, I think how the book is written can turn some people off because it can have a little bit of dryness or maybe just isn't as engaging. Now, outside of those two books, I have found a couple that do create a lot of engagement and entertainment, whether it was from an academic perspective or a storytelling perspective with facts. Robert Dallek is an academic who specializes in presidents of the United States, and one of his most famous books is An Unfinished Life, John F. Kennedy, 1917 to 1963. This was published in 2003, and when I read it in 2022, 2013, around there, it gave me a new perspective on Kennedy as a person and president, and that's because it was well written in a way that kept things engaging, especially when discussing Kennedy's upbringing and how that shaped him as an adult. So, despite it being a very academic read, it was written in that engaging way. Dallek also highlighted Kennedy's severe flaws on a personal and political level. At the same time, he writes about how Kennedy's health problems affected his role as president and that he was successful in foreign policy with the Cuban Missile Crisis. So I thought Dallek gave an intriguing way of writing the book to keep you engaged and paying attention. So the way it was written, despite being quite academic, was done in such an engaging way that it kept me wanting to know more. And then we have Alexis Coe's 2022 biography on George Washington titled You Never Forget Your First. And this is one I liked because she did it in more of a storytelling way that kept you engaged. Now, Coe is a presidential historian and exhibition curator who I felt wrote a fresh take on Washington with You Never Forget Your First. It flowed well, kept me engaged, uses a lot of lists and charts within the work that made it more unique, busts myths about Washington with reality while focusing on his private life, military career, and reluctance to be a president. And it also delves into Washington's hypocrisy on enslavement, especially when it came to William Lee, highlighting a lot of those hypocrisies with the founding of America. But how can you say that when you're enslaving people? Therefore, it kept me engaged with the truth about who Washington was, not just our first president and celebrated military leader, but also an enslavement owner. A reason why I do like nonfiction books, though, is because there are a variety of topics that you can read up on. If it affects your interest and you want to know more information that you haven't really found yet, something that the internet doesn't completely offer, because while nonfiction can be information overload, the internet can as well, and it's from different sources that may or may not be legitimate or are using it from legitimate sources that become footnotes. And I have found a couple that, while were never part of my interest, but were something that I was piqued by curiosity and I think were really enjoyable, and the variety of books were quite interesting. I find a lot of great subjects and topics being more thoroughly researched and written today, such as When Women Invented Television, about four women who helped trailblaze TV in its beginnings, or The Queens of Animation, about a group of women who contributed to cinematic history with creative animations, or Empire of the Scalpel, The History of Surgery. And this was an interesting one because it was about how surgery has evolved from the ancient days to the present. I was not expecting to like that one, but the way it was written was so well done that I was fully engaged about the successes and failures of surgery evolution. It reminded me of American Sherlock by Kate Winkler Dawson, about how Edward Oscar Heinrich used his forensic expertise to influence and change criminal investigations with different tools such as fingerprints and blood spatter analysis. I very much enjoyed that one because it combined true crime in the early decades of the 20th century with Heinrich's forensic efforts. It made everything very engaging and engrossing while also addressing the flaws within forensics, because you cannot always rely on that tool and mistakes do happen. Despite this, I can understand why there are some people that don't like nonfiction and there are downsides to it. Sometimes it's a case of an author bias where the author won't give a very well balanced view as they should, and sometimes it can sound overly preachy, which turns people off. But one of the reasons why I've always been kind of reluctant to bring nonfiction to this channel is because times do change. We end up discovering new information through more thorough research, or we end up finding new discoveries that change the perspective. Something we knew in 2002 is not going to be the same in 2026. So a lot of that does change, but it also helps keep our curiosity going. We keep learning new things as well, and it helps to really benefit better discoveries. But this is why I like reading nonfiction in general, because when we bring newer books out with different topics, they really can help expand our knowledge and our thought processes and bring more discussion to the table. In all honesty, I didn't think too much as a kid in the 90s about the founding of America and its severe flaws, so I'm glad to be reading The Great Contradiction because it does address a lot of things that have been discussed the last few years, especially the last decade, so it can expand our knowledge, make us think a little bit more. It's why I also enjoyed reading last fall, The Six, about the untold stories of Titanic's Chinese survivors, because it hasn't really, in my opinion, been very much explored. And I liked reading about that. It wasn't a lot of new information, but it was enough to really make me think about things and the other survivors, and even our discussions on America and the anti Chinese sentiment we had in 1912 that was very big part of the country for many decades. One of the reasons I will be reading The Great Contradiction this winter is because it explores the severe flaws of America's founding while acknowledging its positives. In the case of its flaws, it's about enslavement and taking land from native tribes, because how can you claim in liberty and freedom of America's founding when you're enslaving people and taking away land from native tribes? And then there's Vigilance, about the father of the Underground Railroad, William Still. I know a lot about Harriet Tubman, but not too much about William Still, who was more based in the Underground Railroad of Philadelphia. And while these are not new histories, I see them more as explorations on topics and people I do not know much about. We may find more information down the line, giving us more perspective and updated what we thought to be true. And this is also why I enjoy bringing more nonfiction here to the channel, because I will be reading outside of The Great Contradiction and Vigilance, also on Morrison, which is more about the author Toni Morrison, who was hugely popular in African American literature, fantastic writer. She's a groundbreaking writer in that genre, and I really look forward to reading her biography, as well as more nonfiction as we go forward, because I really want to bring this to the channel to give you more thought-provoking processes and discussion, but also just to expand knowledge and see if there's been any new discoveries since these books have been published, whether it was in 2022 or 2015, and what we think about it now. So I'm really looking forward to bringing more nonfiction, because I do like and enjoy it, and I think it really can help build our minds pretty well. This concludes the video. Now tell me what you think. Do you like nonfiction or not like it? Have you read any of the books that are within what I've mentioned in this video? If you do like nonfiction, what topics do you enjoy, would like to read more? I'm open to all discussions. Please leave them in the comments because I'd love to hear from you. Before I complete the video, here are my winter reads of 2026. I thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I'll be back Wednesday with a new video and back next Sunday with another video, this time on a double book review. So please stay tuned, and thank you so much for coming. I hope to see you again soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.